Hi guys, this is Tony from Conference Fit, and we're here with Coach Taylor from Misericordia University in Pennsylvania. And we're just going to get a little bit of insight, really from a coach's point of view, of what swim recruiting looks like. So, hey, Coach Taylor, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me on.
I really appreciate you doing this. So to start off, can you just sort of walk us through what a swim recruiting timeline might look like for a high school student?
Sure. So once you get into high school, I think you should at least start thinking about swimming in college and whether or not you want to do that. And I'll emphasize whether or not you want to swim in college. Just because you're a good swimmer, that I'm not here to convince anybody that they have to go swim in college. You can be a student without being a student athlete. You don't have to do it. There is a spot in college for everybody and for all ability levels. But throughout, I'd say 9th and 10th grade, you should really start to think about it. And probably towards the end of 10th grade, start researching some schools. Start looking at what options might be out there. Start thinking about majors and subjects that you enjoy studying. Due to some of the NCAA rules, you probably won't have much, if any, outreach from coaches before the end of junior year. You're going to hear the phrase June 15th quite a bit, and that date applies to the Division I level, that they can't contact you until June 15th at the end of your sophomore year. But start thinking about it in 9th and 10th grade, start researching some things, and then really kick it up a notch junior and senior year. Junior year, start going to visit schools, do some day trips, contact coaches, and then by senior year, you should be doing return visits and making decisions. But the earlier you can think about it and start at least envisioning yourself at the college level, the more you're going to be able to find the right place and see where you fit in.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. What about questionnaires? Like, what time frame would you say submitting questionnaires is a good idea?
I would say probably 10th grade is a good time to do that. And again, because the Division I schools, they can't reach out to you before June 15th, but you can put yourself on a coach's radar before then.
Yeah.
With how much times change from, I'd say, 9th grade to 11th grade, if I get a recruit questionnaire from a 9th grader, I might not have a super serious dialogue with them yet. But it's never too early to at least put your name on somebody's radar and say, hey, I'm interested. Here's my times right now. And then 8 months later, you might reach back out to them and fill out another questionnaire and say, hey, I used to be a 100 butterflyer. Now I'm a 59, and show that time progression to them and show them that you're getting better. So I don't think there's a too early time. You just might not hear a lot of contact if you reach out in 9th or 10th grade.
Got it. So when you see recruits building swim lists, like if someone comes to you or you actually reach out to them, you see their time, you reach out to them and they say, no, Coach Alexander or Coach Taylor, I'm really thinking I'm going to go, swim at Penn State. And that's not happening. How often do you see things like that happen?
I would tell anybody dream big, but also have some reality of like where your times are going to fit in. But the number one thing that you should really be looking for is the academic programs. That's the number one thing. And the big schools, like, don't get me wrong, I love Penn State. It's great. I know a lot of students that go there. It's a great institution, but it's not for everybody. And so I oftentimes see students early on that say, hey, I'm going to go to a big school. And then they visit a big school and they say, hey, you know what? I actually don't see myself there. So like my advice to them is go and visit some schools and see some different things that are out there, because you might not like a large school. You might not like a small school. You might not want to go to school in the middle of a city, or
in the middle of nowhere.
Right. And every campus has its own, I'll say, flavor to it. I don't know how the right way to phrase it is, but you have to go and give it the sniff test. I can't tell you how many times I've had a student visit my campus, whether I was working here at Misericordia or at any of the other schools that I've worked at in the past, where they come to visit and they say, yeah, you know what, I just kind of thought I'd check it out, and I was surprised by how much I liked it.
Hmm.
Go and see some different things, because you might actually be surprised by how much you like something.
Sure. That gut reaction means a lot.
Yeah,
Because when you know you're going to go spend 4 years somewhere, that gut reaction does mean more than you think it might.
absolutely.
So, sort of along those lines, what do you wish more families understood about the divisions D1, D2, more specifically, really D3, because I think that's kind of like a forgotten about division a little bit. So, what could you say to that?
Sure. I wish families knew up front that D3 is pretty much the king of merit scholarships.
Hmm.
Right? And I've believe me, I worked at a Division I school. I love that allure of the D1 prospects and getting an athletic scholarship. But the reality is, you're probably going to get more scholarships from your merit aid than you would from any athletic scholarship, even at a big D1 school.
Hmm.
Academics is king. And so when you look at these Division III schools, you're probably going to see more merit aid from those colleges, because D3 highly values the academics. So
Yeah.
if you want a scholarship, keep your grades up, because that's actually going to get you more scholarships and more financial aid than anything else would.
What about the difference in, let's say, training? Is there a difference in training between D1, D2, D3? Or is
Honestly,
that more school specific?
some of it might get more school specific, but honestly, there's not a huge difference. The swim season runs from September through February, no matter if you're Division III, Division II, or Division I. The real differences in training come in the off season and what you're allowed to do. So
Okay.
Division I and Division II, they're allowed to have some off season training where the coaches are coaching it. Where at the Division III level, you're not allowed to have that. And the only people that can coach are the strength and conditioning coaches. Um, but there's limits on the D1 and the D2. I think it's 8 hours a week that you get at the Division II level, and I'm drawing a blank on the Division I right now off the top of my head, but I think it's 8 or 9 hours a week. Which, if you do the math on that, if you work out an hour and a half, 2 hours a day for 4 or 5 days a week, that's you hit your limit, and you're
Right.
probably working out that much on your own if you're a college athlete with some aspirations of getting better in the next season. You're not going to
Right.
take 6 months off. So from a training standpoint, your in season is going to look very familiar from one division to the next. What you're working on is very similar. A streamline is the same streamline at the Division
Mhm.
I level that it is at the Division III level. And so from a training standpoint, you really just got to ask yourself, who do I want to be coached by? What coach and what team environment am I feeling really comfortable with, and what's going to help me be successful? Because you're going to see that at each team is going to have their own, like I said, there's going to be their own flavor, their own vibe. You just got to see where you're going to be successful.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. What would you say to someone though who I mean, I can use my son as an example. He didn't know any better, and so he said D1 and that was it, and that's all he wanted to look at. And what do you tell a kid like that thinks that's really the end all be all, and that's where the elite swimmers are, and that's where the competition is, and that's all there is? What would you say to that guy?
I think if I was mentoring that student particularly, like, I coach our club team here in Dallas, and um, if a kid came up to me and said, "Hey, coach, it's D1 or bust for me," I would just ask why.
Mm-hmm.
Walk me through your thought process as to why. And if they can give me a really good reason as to why D1 is the end all be all, okay, go for it. I'm not going to stop you,
Right,
right?
right.
But if I'm recruiting a kid and that kid tells me it's D1 or bust, D1 or bust, I'm going to move on to the next recruit, because I want kids that are going to be really passionate about being here at Misericordia. And I think every Division III coach is going to do that. I'm not going to chase the white whale.
Mhm.
If you're not interested in what we have to offer, I'll coach somebody who really is. So
Sure.
I would just ask why and go from there.
And if they said because it's not competitive anywhere else, how could you answer that question? Since it's
I
obviously
would I,
competitive everywhere else.
I would show them the conference times. I
Yeah.
would ask them, hey, where does your time put you in this conference? Where does this time put you at the NCAA level? Uh, it took a 135 in the men's 200 freestyle to win NCAAs this past year. That's blazing fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that is really fast. And I could go down the line on every single event and say, hey, this is what you're up against at Division III. Are you faster than these times?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Because
think that's an excellent
if you
answer.
are, then you are too fast for D3. Sure.
Mhm, right, well, 135 maybe.
Yeah. If you're going 135 in high school, you're you're probably swimming past most, if not all, Division III schools.
Yeah. So once they've built their list and the kids are ready to start reaching out to coaches, what does that look like on your end of things? Like, what can they say to get your attention? How should they be reaching out to you? Um, yeah, and that's kind of it. How do you like third party services if someone emails you or if a recruiter emails you versus a student emails you? How's that change anything in your opinion?
Sure, sure. So I want to hear directly from the student athlete. Um, I think that there are those recruiting services that are out there, and I've seen them be helpful for some student athletes. I'm not here to sway you towards conference fit or away from conference fit or towards a recruiter or away, but I want to hear directly from the student athlete because at the end of the day, that's who I'm here to coach. It's not going to be mom, it's not going to be dad, it's not going to be the recruiting service that you buy into. I want to hear from you.
Yeah.
So fill out our questionnaire, send me an email. I oftentimes hear questions of who on the staff should this person email. I say email the whole staff because recruiting is a three-headed monster and it is too much for one person to handle.
Mm,
Um, my assistant coach handles a lot of phone calls. I handle a lot of phone calls. He tackles a lot of emails. I tackle a lot of emails, and it's pretty well split. So email the whole staff and keep in mind that if you get a response from anybody, it means that they're interested in you, whether it's the head coach or the assistant coach. It's just too much for one person to handle. It could be that the assistant coach handles certain event groups when the head coach handles certain ones, or I've had it divvied up in different ways on different coaching staff. So if you get a response from anybody, that's a good thing.
what
When
if
you
you don't get a response from anybody?
mm, okay, a couple of things could happen. One, it could be the time of year. If you email me in the middle of February when I'm at the MAC championships, I'm not going to get back to you for at least a week. Right? Um, if if you don't hear back right away from a coach, don't freak out, especially given certain periods of the year that we are insanely busy. If you don't hear back, try to follow up because what sometimes has happened is you mentioned third party sites before.
Mhm.
I love Swim Cloud. And so I will sing it from the rooftops. I love Swim Cloud. Go on Swim Cloud, claim your account on there. It's awesome. It will help you with recruiting. It is so worth the $50, I think it is, to claim your account. But if you email me through Swim Cloud, like they have their own email platform on there, it will get flagged in my university spam filters. And so if I don't catch it in the spam filter, I won't be able to respond to your email.
Sure,
I,
yeah.
I get at least one or two emails every week that are from Swim Cloud that get flagged and they just land in my spam filter. And most of the time I catch them, but
Sometimes you don't.
right, sometimes I don't. And somebody will email me and say, hey, I didn't hear back. And I go, I've never heard from this kid before. So
Right.
hear back, just email them again. it could be a technical glitch and something just got flagged. But if you don't hear back another time, I would just move on to the next option and see what else is out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me think where I was. When you are, so you've talked to a recruit, when you are evaluating them, what do you look for beyond just times?
Grades,
Yeah.
big time grades. I'll say the third time, grades again. Uh, so a couple things to juggle out here is when you get to the college level, if you're a prospective student athlete and you go from the high school and club level up to college, we're going to try to up the bar for you athletically. And on the same time, you're going to have the other parts of campus are going to be up in the bar for you academically. And we want to know that you have the study habits to be successful here. We want to see you be successful in the water. We want to see you be successful in the classroom. And us as coaches, we get evaluated professionally on how successful our team does in the classroom. So a really easy way to gauge some support systems for academics for teams is to look and see if they are recognized each year by the CSCAA for being Scholar All-America teams. And that'll give you a good indication of culture and what type of supports are there and if their students are being successful. So yeah, us coaches, if I see somebody who's a really good breaststroker and they have a 2.1 GPA, I'm probably not taking a chance on that.
Yeah.
If they have a 3.1, they might be on the bubble. Maybe, but I want to see their weighted GPA probably minimum 3.5, if not close to a 4.0. Like they've got to be good academically because they're going to be getting pushed athletically. They're going to be exhausted. They're going to be tired. They're going to have the time management that they've got to juggle out, and then they're going to get hit with academic challenges. They got to handle that. They've got new study habits. I want to know that you can handle it. So yeah, grades is going to be the biggest thing that I look for.
Got it. Yeah, got it. What should they be asking you? So they've reached out to you, you're giving them a call, and they're very nervous that what is Coach Taylor going to ask me? What should they be ready to talk to you about?
Sure. So in terms of questions that they can ask me, probably the two most common questions that I get, and I'm going to tell you to not ask these questions, is what's your training schedule look like and what's your team culture? Every recruit asks me those two questions, and it's the same answer to every kid. What I would encourage you to ask instead is ask some very deliberate questions that are indicative of culture. So you could ask things like, what is your team GPA? What academic supports are there for student athletes, and how do you support a student who's struggling? You could ask things like, and this might not be a good first phone call question, but a good question to ask is, how do you handle disciplinary actions on your team?
Oh, that's a great question.
Do you want to swim for a coach that doesn't have a disciplinary policy?
Right.
Probably not. You can ask what kind of team bonding events they're involved in. Are they involved in community service? Those questions are going to give you a really deep understanding of what their values are. Probably my favorite question, ask this one on the first phone call. Ask this one. What are you most proud about your team for? Because to be honest with you, I know a ton of college coaches. They're all really good people. I don't know a single college coach that I compete against a lot of really good people, and we're bitter rivals on the pool deck, and then we're shaking hands and having fun at the end of the day. But we all are proud of our team for something. Like we do this because we have pride. We do this because we really want to see our team be successful. Ask them what they're most proud about, and you will get a wide range of answers, and it will really tell you what their culture is and what their values are.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. I wish we'd have known it a couple years ago. Yeah, that's a really good suggestion to ask. What can a swimmer do to stand out for you? Not that doesn't cost any money, that's just super easy. They've come, they've done their visit, they've had conversations with you. What can they do to stand out from somebody else that's done all of those things also?
Sure. I'll give you the advice. I've been here at Misericordia for 7 years now, and at this point I've received 8 of these handwritten thank you notes.
Mm.
Now, to be fair, I get tons of text messages and emails. Like, I'll get them on their car ride home. I'm sure mom and dad will say, "You got to send them a thank you note." Mom will be driving and they pull out their phone and they just type out an email and send a thank you note. And I take note of that, and I remember who sends me those thank you emails. But there is nothing like getting a handwritten card in the mail. Uh,
Hmm.
I go upstairs to my mailbox and I'm like, all right, doing my, daily checks of the day. And then boom, you get a little thank you note. I save them, and
Oh,
I do. One of my favorite moments over the last several years was my first year, my first commit on the women's side while I was here. She sent me a handwritten thank you note after her official visit. And um, she finished up her doctorate here at Misericordia in May, and I gave her thank you note back
oh,
with my own thank you note that I had to type it out first and then hand write it. I have really bad handwriting, so I had to write it out twice in order to make sure it was legible. But I gave her the note back to her. So I've got a little stack of some notes that I'll be giving back to some
I
kids.
think that's awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. If you could, well, actually, here's another question. If someone's coming on their official visit and they are super shy or introverted, like, do you have any suggestions? I know that a lot of times coaches just say, well, just be yourself, but you don't want to be yourself in a corner and not speak to anybody. So, is there any sort of suggestions on what you think, how they should be behaving, who they should be talking to, questions they can ask then?
Sure. So I try to get like a when I do an overnight visit, it's always the second visit. And so I kind of have a little bit of a gauge of who's a kind of quieter, who's a little bit more reserved. Is it going to take a minute or two to get them out of their shell? um, I try to give them some questions to like spark a little bit of a conversation with people on the team. And it's just simple things like, hey, why did you choose Misericordia? What's your favorite thing about here? What's the biggest challenge for a student being here? And if you ask those 3 things to every student, it's not intimidating to walk up and ask those 3 questions. It's not anything too, interrogating, but it's just going to be a simple little icebreaker,
Yeah.
and it's just going to get a conversation started. So having a couple of written questions to ask everybody on the team, you'll get a wide range of answers from everybody on the team, and you'll hear the values. Why did you choose this school? If you hear the same answer, you're going to say, okay, this is what I'm going to get in my experience here, right? What's the challenge? Okay, you hear the same 2 or 3 answers. Okay, now I know if I commit to this school, here's what I need to be prepared for when I move in. And that's going to give you a pretty good idea of how to move forward from there. So have a couple simple little questions to ask. Um, Again, you're getting a vibe check on that visit as well. So if everything checks out, great, you've got some intel, and if not, not
Yeah, I
every.
think that might be something that some kids don't realize. Like they're very nervous going to official visits. It's not just about, the coaches and the team looking at you, looking at the kid, seeing if they fit. It's their job too to see if they like the school. If they don't like the school and the team loves them, it's not really going to work anyway.
No,
So I think that's just something that they should maybe take the nerves down a little bit and just go see what it's like.
yeah.
So if you could give one piece of advice, not to swimmers, but to the parents of swimmers, what would that be?
Just take a deep breath and relax. You're gonna find the right place. Just get out there and find the right place. It'll be pretty clear when you start seeing different schools. You'll walk onto some campuses and you'll say, No. And then you'll walk onto the right one and you'll say,
Ooh.
this is it. Yeah, like I said before, I've had students come and visit and they go, I'm surprised by how much I loved it here. And on
Yeah.
the flip side, I'm not a salesman for Misericordia. I'm sure we've had students that come and they go, yeah, this isn't for me. And that's okay. I don't take it personally. Those kids, they find their home and that's where they're gonna be.
Yeah.
Uh, but go and see the places, get the information. It's a process. You know, you're not gonna have it all figured out in the first visit, but it'll be fine.
Yeah. And it's a lot more fun too than you think it's gonna be. You have a good time with it.
Yeah. Enjoy the process. Honestly, each
Yeah.
part of the process has its own little quirks to it. You know, there's the excitement of going on your first visit and seeing something for the first time. There's the excitement of meeting the team. You know, there's parts of it along the way. Sure, there's going to be the stress. Did I get in? Did I get accepted or
Mhm.
not? There's going to be that. Sure. Just take a deep breath. It's going to work out. You're going to land where you're meant to be.
Correct.
It'll be all
Yeah, I
right.
believe that too. You're gonna land where you're supposed to be.
No
Well,
doubt.
I think that's all my questions. Did you have anything that you wanted to, any wisdom that you want to impart to these recruits as they're going through it, besides just have fun?
Yeah, I'll say a couple of things and then we'll close out. Like there are great coaches and great teams at every division. I've been fortunate to work at some camps and clinics. Biggest one being University of Texas. Hook 'em, let's go. Um, I've made a lot of friends along the way that are coaches at different divisions, and there are great coaches and great people everywhere. Go meet them and see what's out there. Um, you're going to find your place, but there's great people. There's fast swimming everywhere. Find the place that you're going to be really comfortable, and that's probably going to be where you're most successful. And I know that there's other factors that go into it. Can you afford the school? Can you, is it close enough to home? You know, like
Right.
there's these other things that are kind of, you got to consider than just where do you like the most. I get it, but there's great people at all the divisions. There's great coaches. Just go and meet them. It's gonna be fine.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Thank you so much, Coach Taylor, for taking time out of your day to talk to us and kind of walk us through your side of things. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
All right, no problem. So